Hey guys, it's Dark Magician Gaming here, and I'm here to give you guys a deck profile over my favorite deck of this format, and that is a future Altaria deck. Now, just to start off, we all know Altaria is meta relevant. There's many variants of Altaria that do have or currently see a lot of play. I mean, the biggest one is definitely going to be your Sleep Altaria. Now, especially with Eevee, that deck is it's just really, in my opinion, really toxic to kind of play that deck. It's personally not how I like to play this game, but if that's how you want to play the game, they put it in the game for a reason and enjoy playing it. That's not how I'm going to play Altaria. There's your Gourgeist Altaria, which sees a lot of play competitively, non-competitively, whatever. It's a really fun way to play Altaria. Used to be my favorite one to play. And then there's your high roll, which is going to be your Greninja Altaria deck, which hasn't seen much play recently. And that's just because it's kind of a high roll deck. If it has a high, tendency to brick. That's why it's kind of fallen off. Decks like Gourgeist Altaria or even Sleep Altaria to some extent are a little bit more consistent than Greninja Altaria is. But yeah, no, this variation of Altaria is my personal favorite to run, and in my opinion, it has a lot of synergy with each other. So let's just go through the deck real quick. For starters, we have 2 Iron Valiants, 2 Iron Crown, 2 Swablu, 2 Mega Altaria, 2 Pokeball, 2 Future Booster Energy Capsules. Those are important. 2 Professor's Research, a Sabrina, a Giovanni, which is kind of a niche card in this deck, but I'll get into that here in a little bit. A Cyrus, obviously, got to have Cyrus in a deck. If you don't have Cyrus in your deck, you're kind of playing it wrong, in my opinion. Copycat, and a Peculiar Plaza. So, this deck, at least for me, is way more consistent than a Sleep Altaria deck. And it just leads for a lot of good plays, too. So, I'll kind of run you through how I would want to play this, and how I would... my plays on how I would utilize this deck. And you'll kind of see why I enjoy using this deck. At least I hope you'll see why. But yeah, so number one, when we start the game, you're hoping and praying that you get Iron Crown in your starting hand. That's what you want to lead with. Iron Crown is your lead Pokemon. Swablu isn't too bad because you can kind of stall out if you start with Swablu. As long as you put energy on it, you can you sing and put your opponent to sleep and they're active, and hopefully they flip tails to help you stall and draw some more cards. But the absolute worst thing to start with is Iron Valiant. So if you start with Iron Valiant and you don't have Peculiar Plaza in your hand, or you don't draw it really quickly, you're kind of cooked. It's kind of wraps for you. You might as well just chalk that up to a loss, to be honest with you. But with 2 Iron Crowns and 2 Swablu, 66% of the time, you're going to end up starting, or 2/3 of the time, you're going to end up starting with either Iron Crown or Swablu, which is definitely a better start. Now, Iron Crown is a future Pokemon, and it has the attack, what is it called? Enumerating Blade, which does 10 damage, and it costs 2 colorless energy, which is key here. And for each Pokemon on your opponent's bench, it's doing an extra 20. So if your opponent has a loaded bench, which nowadays most decks are going to want to load the bench, specifically Miraidon is going to be loading the bench with Mon. Even Sceptile is going to be loading the bench. They're going to want to throw an Ogre Pond down. They're going to want to throw down their extra Trico. They're going to throw down a Pheromosa. A lot of decks nowadays are going to be loading up the bench. Even that recent deck, was it Blaziken and Greninja? That one, they're putting a Froakie on the bench. They're putting a Heatmore Castform or both of their Torchics on the bench. So you are going to have opponents frequently loading up their bench, which is going to help you with Iron Crown because that means you're going to be able to do max damage, pretty quickly. And also, too, if they're scared of dealing with Iron Crown, because it is kind of a scary mon to deal with if you can get it set up, it has 100 HP. That's a lot. That's not getting taken out pretty quickly. It'll get taken out, but once they get their main mon out, like a Sceptile or something, but against smaller basics, it's not getting taken out, So it's got a lot of weight to lead off with, and it already kind of starts to put your opponent excuse me, in a corner. It can be a very powerful mon if you get it set up, excuse me. But yeah, so if their bench is loaded, you're doing 70. And if you have 2 Iron Valiants on the bench, you're swinging for free and doing 70. And if you have a Future Booster Energy Capsule on it, you're swinging for 90. So like, let's think about it. Miraidon. The basics that they're going to want, or the smaller mon that they're going to want to keep either on the bench or in the active is going to be Oricorio or Magneton. Magneton has 80 HP. Oricorio has 70, with a cape has 90. You know, if you have this Future Booster Energy Capsule plus their loaded bench, Iron Crown is killing both of those one shot, you know. And now you're taking away, number one, a lot of protection with the Oricorio that your opponent may have, right? They're going to want that. They're going to want to preserve Oricorio because it is something that helps them kind of stall out and save them from getting hit by, you know, some of the bigger EXs, like in this case, in my deck, Altaria. So killing that gets you a free prize point and gets rid of a pesky Oricorio, right? Magneton. Miraidon requires Magneton to attack for as much as possible, right? Like, if Miraidon wants to hit for anything over 140 to be able to one-shot a lot of, you know, EX or Mega Pokemon, it's going to have to build up with Magneton, you know, generating as much energy on the bench specifically as possible. You know, KOing a Magneton is pretty significant. It significantly hampers how much damage output your opponent's going to have with a Miraidon deck. And with Iron Crown, number one, you're going to be able to kill the Magneton one shot because you can force them to put a cape on their Magneton to try and save it, but now that they have a cape on their Magneton, it's not going to be able to go on their Miraidon. And most Miraidon decks are only running one cape, if that. So they waste a cape on their Magneton or on their Oricorio. Now their Miraidon is stuck at 140 HP, right? So there's a good synergy with that. Plus, again, no energy requirement if you have both Iron Valiants on the bench means you can prioritize dropping energy onto your Swablu, right? I mean, Altaria is a pretty cheap costing Mega. It only costs 2 energy to attack, and you're swinging for 130 if your bench is full. Now, here's the key point about that. If you're going to set up Iron Crown properly, you need 2 Iron Valiants. And then obviously you're going to want to drop a Swablu on the bench too, right? Setting up Iron Crown helps you set up Mega Altaria, and that's why I believe this deck has so much synergy. You set up Iron Crown, you take a couple swings, you kill some pesky, you know, basic or smaller mon that your opponent has, and you put them in a corner because now they're down 1 or 2 prize points. And then you're also building Mega Altaria on the bench pretty quickly. You know, a lot of games I win with this. I'm winning in the first, 5 or 6 turns, and only putting down like 2 or 3 energy by the time I win the game, which is really, really, really important for this. You know, Miraidon is really cool. It's a fun deck to play, but it has a high energy requirement in order for Miraidon to swing for as much as possible, right? Like, you have to build with Magneton. You have to be dropping energy on the bench in order to get Miraidon to swing for, over 140. I mean, if you think about it, if you wanted to swing for 140, you need 6 energy on it. Now, that's a decent amount. I mean, you can make that pretty quickly with Magneton, but that's a decent amount. And this deck only requires 2 to be able to swing for 130, and you've already dealt significant damage with Iron Crown before you even get to that point, so it's just a really efficient deck in my opinion. Now, Sabrina's a really good stall card if you need it to be, or a game winner, right? If I need to stall, right, to buy me an extra turn or 2, I can use Sabrina, move their active mons to the bench, and force them to kind of put energy where they don't want it, or waste energy on retreating to get back to that mon, back to the active. If I only need 1 more prize point and they left a basic mon or a small mon on the bench, and they have a full HP Mega or something on the active, I can use Sabrina to swap them out and take out that pesky basic on the bench for, and win the game. Cyrus, I'm doing damage to a Mega with Iron Crown. It gets taken out. They may want to retreat that Mega, right? Because they don't want me to have first swing with Altaria. Cyrus brings them back at the active, and I'm sweeping up the game after that, Now for Giovanni, the reason why I'm slotting in Giovanni is because recently, the last couple of days, I haven't really been running into a lot of sleep decks. Usually this would be a PCL, maybe a Comfy, but I play tested Comfy and I didn't really like it wasting space on my bench. But Giovanni has been a really nice tech because I have been running into a lot of Suicunes. So having Giovanni, it does extra 10 damage to your opponent's active Pokemon, regardless if they're a basic or an EX or non-EX, excuse me. When I was running into a lot of Suicune, Mega Altaria is swinging for 30, the Suicune surviving with 10, and it's kind of annoying. I can use Cyrus because they're going to move it to the bench, right, to bring that back and win, but it's just kind of annoying to deal with. But having Giovanni, I'm doing 140, and I'm wiping the floor with that, with that Pokemon. So personally right now, this is a 19-card deck to me, in my opinion. And that 20th slot, you can kind of do whatever you want with, based on what you see or what you're running into. I've been running into a lot of Suicunes. That's why I've slotted in Giovanni. The second I start seeing a lot of sleep, which I probably will once rank starts, I'll be throwing a PCO in here, right? Now, just a preference, this deck is not meta by any means. I don't think this is going to be a top-tier deck. It's probably like a B-tier deck, to be honest with you. But it's a deck that helps me get really fast wins. And when you're playing ranked, which is coming up here in the next couple of days, you want to be able to get through as many matches as possible to try and accumulate as many points as possible to rank up, right? Playing a 15, 20-minute game because you're having to stall half the game is kind of annoying. And you're only going to be able to get, 3, maybe 4 games in a day if you're busy or if you're working or something, right? But with this, I'm getting wins in the first 5 turns, and then I'm moving, right? This is just a fun deck to kind of get you to move, and you'll see that here. I'll drop some gameplay right here so you can, watch some, number one, a very quick win that I have against a fighting deck, which is Great Tusk, and I'm pretty sure they're running Lucario, but they didn't set that up. And then you'll see how I was able to beat, in the next video, a Mega Sceptile deck, I had a misplay in it, and you'll see it, but they kind of saved me because he didn't have any draw power. But yeah, you'll see, I'm beating some pretty meta decks. I'm beating Mega Sceptile, I'm beating Miraidon, I'm beating other Altaria decks, like Sleep or the Gorgeist variation, right? I'm beating a really good meta decks. Now, is this deck meta? No. Is this gonna, be the number 1 deck in the meta? No. Will it top a tourney? Maybe. I've seen some crazy decks recently top tourneys, I think an Iron Moth deck won recently. Great Tusk Koraidon was winning, which is kind of crazy because that deck just bricks so much. It's just a fun deck to play. It leads to a lot of easy wins, and you'll see, in the gameplay that I have right now that you see dropped in. You'll see some of those easy wins and some of those really good wins that you get with it. And it just has a lot of synergy. You set up your bench with Iron Valiant, you're swinging with Iron Crown, you set up Peculiar Plaza so you can retreat for free, you swap into your Mega Altaria once you drop your energy on it, and you're just mopping up the floor in 5 or 6 turns. And it's just a fun deck to play. I recommend it. If you guys haven't tried this deck, I recommend you play it. It's just a really fun deck to play. It leads to a lot of easy wins. You can get through a lot of matches with it pretty quickly. Again, if you start with Iron Valiant and you don't have Peculiar in your hand, you're kind of cooked. And if you want to kind of help with that, you could remove the Giovanni and slot in 2 Peculiar Plaza. That might be a good tech to run. I might try that too, to try and lead to more consistency, so it help you prevent from bricking as much, right? Lead to some more consistency and better flow throughout the deck, right? But yeah, definitely try it out. You'll see some gameplay that probably going on as I'm talking right now, of the 2 matches that I talked about, the Mega Sceptile and the Great Tusk deck, and you'll see how quick you can win with this deck, and the types of decks you can beat with it. So, but yeah, you guys go ahead and try it out and enjoy the rest of the gameplay. And if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, please feel free to leave me a comment. If you have any deck suggestions for me to try and run and play with, again, leave them in the comments and let me know. But yeah, guys, you guys have a good one and enjoy the rest of the gameplay. Peace.